Well, for this week's I Want to Know. Now, apologies for those who are watching this live and also the replay, either on Facebook and or YouTube as well. So all of the other videos are there too if you are not watching it from YouTube. I have the dreaded flu, the Logie, the one that I have tried to completely and utterly avoid. It has finally caught up with me with the rest of Sydney-siders here in this wonderful winter at the moment. So apologies if I sound a little bit on the nasally side. And trust me, I didn't quite look like this a little while ago with a bit of makeup. It's amazing what Revlon can do. So what I'm going to do is get stuck into it. Hello. And so the first thing is with this particular topic for this week is what should investigators have when it comes to a code of conduct? Now, it may sound a little bit legally and a bit sort of important. It is important. As investigators, even if you are looking at private cases or public cases, which is either residential or historical ones, it's really important to be able to have some sort of code in place. Now, you'll hear the term code of conduct or code of ethics. That's usually one or the other. Code of conduct's more about what you're going to do, and code of ethics is kind of more your decision-making stuff about it all. Hi Andrew, how are you? So having a bit of an idea on either one of those, a lot of teams tend to combine both of them and actually make it into a big load of like a big code of conduct. You'll see a lot of it on a couple of teams' websites. It's really good to have. I have a code of conduct, but mine's not on my website, so bad for me. But I highly recommend you actually having something up on there as well. And it's really good, like as I mentioned before, not just for if you're doing private or residential cases, but also to have something up there that is for when you're going in and hiring locations to investigate as well, so people can get a bit of an idea. Now, a couple of things if you want to actually set up your own code of conduct. It's obviously something that you have as a team thing. As I said, there's lots of different examples on the internet as well. One could be that is making sure that no matter what location you actually go into, that you've always got permission to investigate it. That's really, really important as well. Preferably in writing. Highly recommend it in writing. I know sometimes it verbally, if you've got a really good relationship with the person, but even just following it up with writing as well. So that's a really good thing to have as part of a code of conduct. Hi Nicole, I hope you're well. Also, another one is that people say no consumption of alcohol or drugs before or during the investigation as well. Kind of is a no-brainer, really. But I personally sometimes, depending on the team I'm investigating with, we'll go back and we'll have a beer or two and talk about the case. So I think after the investigation is okay, but preferably, of course, not before or during, for obvious reasons. We're there to be professional and actually look at paranormal phenomena, not while, unless it's actually an experiment. I highly, it's definitely not something that you should do on an investigation at all. Another thing also is to if you do go into a place, that you leave it in the best form that you can once you leave the actual location. So something where say for instance, you're going into someone's home. Of course, you want to make sure that the things that you've got there, it's in better shape almost than before you actually got there. Not that you would go and clean someone's house, but make sure that nothing's broken, things are put away. If you need to move anything, ask permission first. Say, look, this particular mirror stands kind of in the way. We need to sort of move it. Is that okay? Sort of thing. That kind of stuff is highly recommended as well. Hello, sweetheart. So also another thing that a lot of groups do is not charge for investigations. That's a big no-no. There are a couple of teams I've seen over the years, I think a few in the States, and might have also been one here in Australia at some point, where they've actually charged people to actually go and investigate their home or place of work. That's a bit of a interesting one. As I said, there's a lot of controversy about it. Some groups will ask for reimbursement of charges sometimes if it's a very, very long distance and they're having to travel to this particular spot. Again, it depends. For me, absolutely do not charge for paranormal investigations. People are in a desperate situation often anyway. Paranormal can't be proven. we haven't got licensed, we're not, there's no official qualification, blah, 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 you get the drift. So that's another thing as well, that most groups, if not all groups, will have something like that in their code of conduct saying, no, don't charge for paranormal investigations. You may have heard me mention this before as well, confidentiality agreements and forms in place. Really, really, really handy to have as well. You just want to make sure that they know their information's not going to go out if they don't want it, and that they're not going to blab about all the stuff that you've been doing and collecting and talking to them about as well. So it's a two-way street there as well. So confidentiality forms is a highly, highly, highly an important thing to have as in there as well. So that's part of your process, part of your procedure. Another thing also is, it sounds really weird for some, don't run or scream when you're on an investigation. I know, our bodies are there to protect ourselves, but it's a health and safety issue for when you're on a public location, and B, it doesn't look good if you're doing a private case. Obviously, the clients are looking to you for safety and assurance, and knowing that what's happening in their home is going to be okay, all that kind of stuff. Just keep that in mind. If you're rattled, you rattle, but don't go screaming, don't go running. Doesn't look good. Leave that to the movies. Also, dress professionally if you can. And professionally doesn't mean you got to suit up in your Armani. It can be just clean clothes, not really many rips. I used to wear ripped jeans to investigations for a while, and then I realised it wasn't quite as professional, so I don't anymore. But just nice, clean, tidy clothing. You don't want to look like you're too sort of rolled out the gutter, if at all. I know sometimes with some private cases I will have to look as sort of local to the areas I can, because you're going in and people don't want to know that you're an investigator. I can't wear access stuff, because people don't want to know their house. Well, people don't want to have people see somebody going into their house and investigating it. So, keeping that in mind as well, being like sort of plain clothes type stuff, but still just dress nicely. It means you take what you do seriously, and it helps them also understand that, that you're trustworthy as well. So there's that too. Dress to impress. There's a couple of other things that other groups do as well. Hello. Yeah, team shirts. Exactly. Nicole says team shirts is really good. That does look professional. It's not a must, but that does look professional in that, when you're going in and investigating public locations as well as private. Some other teams insist that you don't wear cologne, like strong smelling cologne or perfume. That's a new thing. Again, it depends on what you want to do. Reason being for that is that it's very hard to distinguish if you're doing an investigation, if there's a smell of perfume or cologne that comes into the room. Could it be from somebody who's actually been wearing it? Sometimes they say with certain types of perfume or cologne, if it's really one that's suited to you, then you don't, you're not used to smelling it. It's so part of you. So, you could be standing there going, I can't smell anything. And someone's gone, wow, there's this beautiful smell of, if you've got really good taste, beautiful smell of this lovely light floral scented perfume. And like, it could be, this presence of an energy. So it takes that kind of confusion out of it. So, of course, you don't want to smell for all the wrong reasons as well. So there is oral hygiene as well as your underarm hygiene as well. I don't think you should completely disregard that at all. But obviously the stronger smelling type of fragrance stuff might actually impede on an investigation instead as well. Hi, Tamo. Hi, Cara. So there's that as well. Some teams will have in their codes of conduct about not having anybody below the age of 18 on their teams as well. So that could be that could be something that they may want to instill. I think that's a really good thing personally. But I have been on investigations where there's been people that have been say 14-year-old or a 16-year-old, and it wasn't a full-on heavy investigation. It was kind of more of a tour type investigation. But there was lots of parental guidance used there as well. This child was very beyond their years as well. So I think it just depends. But a lot of teams will actually not have anybody below the age of 18. Excuse me for my bloody lurgy. Also, another thing as well that's I know for myself and in my code of conduct, I don't do spirit cleansings. I don't do spirit clearings. That's just not my forte. As mentioned before, I'm as psychic as a brick. and sometimes it's better left to somebody else to kind of suss that out. So I have that as part of my method statement, as well as my code of conduct, as well as that if they want something to be removed, then they actually need to, I can refer them to somebody, but I'm not that style of investigator. I'm actually there to determine what type of phenomena it is as much as I can and help them as much as I can. So more like I think I mentioned it to someone the other day, it's more like a metal detector as opposed to, trying to sort of actually help the situation by moving a spirit on. I just don't have those abilities, and that's not my purpose for investigating as well. So if you guys, hey sweetheart, so if you guys actually do, if you've got some tips of the codes of conduct that you've had while investigating in a location, and it could be private or public as well. Like I said, it's really important to have it for across both public or private. Use the comment section, even on Facebook and or YouTube. Put your notes down there. See if there's stuff that other people think, oh, hang on a second, I haven't actually thought about that. That'd be good for us to be able to have as well. Oh, you finally managed to see a live video. Oh, that's great, Jackie. I'm so glad you could finally join. So wonderful. Jackie's all the way in Cornwall in England. So beautiful, beautiful place in the world. So yeah, any ideas, any other things? There's a ton of stuff out there on the internet. As I said, there's some. If you type in paranormal investigator code of conduct, you'll see all the different types of ones that paranormal teams have actually created. So, what are your thoughts about using pendulum on investigations? I mean, obviously this is a slightly separate sidestep to a code of conduct. I guess if you want to, as a team, use pendulums, you can say, part of our investigating style is using pendulums or crystals or any other types of things, and that could be something you might want written in there. For myself personally, I don't see as an investigative method, particularly for a private case. It can be very, very subjective. It's something that it's very much into the individual. So for myself, I wouldn't. If I'm out on an investigation, it's a public location, we've hired it out, we're trying different stuff, yeah, I might try it then, but to find answers for somebody in their home or place of business, I probably wouldn't use it. So that's my stance on that one as well. Oh, thank you, darling. Yeah, I've got this horrible, you can hear me, I'm talking through my nose. I sit there trying not to use the tissue too much because I'll end up going, oh, look, that's turned into Rudolph already. It's not even Christmas. So, yeah. I finally got caught with the flu bug. So great question though. Thanks for that though, Nicole. As I said, all different investigators have different styles. So if you want to put something like that in there, so whoever does approach you can actually see how you investigate, then I think that's really good too, because that could be a type of, because again, that's your ethics, that's your conduct, that's the way in which you behave and act when you're out investigating, and putting that out there first will obviously save a lot of confusion as well afterwards, because then the people that approach you will know what they're in for. They're not going to say, oh, you don't do spirit clearings. Oh, okay, I didn't know. And then you've gone through so much of a process until you've gotten to that point. So you're saving everybody a lot of time. Post McDonald's runs after investigations is a number one. Honestly, I think paranormal investigators should buy shares in McDonald's, because I know with it being open 24/7, it has been one of the sources of food for us. Not the best source, although their menu options have gotten a little bit healthier. There's a lot of McDonald's I can't eat because my body's just gone, nah. So, but there you go. You can put that in your code of conduct. We support local businesses by going to Macca's because it's open 24/7. Good feedback, Glenn. Awesome. Hey, Pete, how are you? So yeah, there's a couple of ideas from that. So, things about how you're going to conduct yourself, what your aims are as well, what the team should be doing. There's a couple of method statements and codes of conduct that have written in the fact that people need to get along within the team, so there's no abusive language, there's no rudeness, there's respect shown always, things like that. A fillet of fish, yeah, fillet of fish, that's Pete's favourite for when it comes to a Macca's run at the end of an investigation. So yeah, it's things like that. So if you want to put like team stuff in there as well, okay, how the team should interact too, not just about your health and safety too. So again, go and Google it and have a look, and there's a ton of them there. I should give myself a bit of a kick in the butt and actually put my code of conduct up on my website as well as an example too. So I shall hopefully get to do that in the next couple of days as well. But anyway, take care everybody. Again, use the comment section, put what you recommend, what you think, and yeah, let's share some ideas. Take care.